I see a lot of crazy things in my line of work. If you're new here or haven't been on the channel long, I work as a server at a restaurant. I work days and nights, probably 5 days a week at most, and I see some crazy things from time to time. Most of the time it's really chill, not a lot of crazy people there. A lot of people are actually really nice. They're really helpful, they're understanding about a lot of things. It's a good thing to see that people are, usually kind in those situations when it comes to food service. Some people though are just the absolute worst. They're probably considered the dog shit of humanity, and they don't deserve anything good that comes to them because they are just so selfish and horrible. Well, last night was one of those things where I experienced those kind of people. I went ahead and talked about it on stream just so you can kind of get a glimpse of that. I'll play a little clip here in a second, but just to kind of give the whole baseline of this whole plot here, what happened was there was someone who was actually dying in the restaurant. There was someone who was like having a heart attack or a stroke. I don't know which one it was, but it was pretty bad. The paramedics had to come in. There was fire trucks and ambulance. There was just absolute chaos erupting at the scene because this person was visibly, about to die in front of their family. There was like kids involved. It was their father, their mother, and it was pretty scary. We were all like rushing to kind of get this person help to, move things aside because, that took priority. Some people, however, did not take kindly to that. They were sitting outside eating their meal, and then when they see the paramedics and stuff, the flashing lights from, the firemen and the ambulances, they didn't like that. They thought that because that was happening, that someone was actually dying on the floor, that it was ruining their experience for them, and they went ahead and complained to the manager about that. Some crazy stuff happened to me too today. Someone almost died at my job. Like, I didn't even know it was happening. I was just walking by, I thought some kids were trying to, like, having a fight or punching their way into, like, where they were sitting. And then apparently someone, like, was passed out, vomiting and stuff, and just, like, absolutely in pure agony. I, like, saw them, like, on the ground, about to, like, bite it. But they're alive, they're fine. Although some people were just, like, real assholes, actually. What happened was we had paramedics out there in front of the building, and then people were complaining that the lights from the fire trucks and the ambulances was ruining their experience, and they were complaining to the manager about it. And I thought that was really stupid. I thought someone would just like told them like to not serve them anymore, because heaven forbid someone is dying on the floor and we have to help them. But I suppose we should drop everything just so they can have a nice time eating food. So I would have loved to go tell them that, hey, you know what, since next time if you're about to die, we'll just not call the paramedics and stuff because you're just fucking trash. Just thinking that 2 people did it. 2 people came in and complained about that. Like, can you turn off the ambulances or just have them go die somewhere else? Like, I don't know why. I don't know how, like, both those people said the same thing, but it was pretty awful. So yeah, it was pretty terrible stuff to see. Thankfully, the person did make a full recovery. We got the ambulance there, the paramedics and stuff. We were fanning this person down, trying to get her consciousness. And she did wake up. She was, very aware of where she was. We didn't know, like, her mental state as of late. I wasn't there for the entire thing, but I did see it unfold, and I saw, like, a bit of the aftermath. So thankfully, there was no death there. But I just cannot get over the audacity that these people had. The people who were, visibly going into the restaurant and complaining to the manager, saying that the paramedics and stuff were really distracting from their meal. Like, we are very unhappy with it. That is just the absolute scummiest thing you could possibly say. Like, someone is visibly dying on the floor, and their grandchildren or their children are watching this happen, absolutely screaming their heads off, crying because they don't want to see this happening, like, while they're having dinner or like any time for that matter. Like, have a little compassion or something. How would you feel if you were like having a heart attack and someone was saying like, can you move the paramedics over there that way, even though this person's having a heart attack right now? We just don't want it to distract us or anything. If you were that person on the floor, or like the family members in general, and someone came up and told people that they didn't like that you were being helped, How would you feel about that? It wouldn't feel good, that's for sure. You'd probably be dead at that point. Now, thankfully, I didn't serve those people who were complaining about that. If I did, I probably would have told them to leave or just stop serving them altogether, because no one should act like that in that situation. Not everything revolves around you. I understand you want to like enjoy a nice meal with your significant other, but you know, have a little compassion. I just don't understand how those people can sleep at night thinking that way. And the fact that it was 2 different tables that came in and complained about it was just alarming. Like, the paramedics had to, you know, stop at the very front of the restaurant to, you know, get through the door as quickly as possible. It's the path of least resistance. That's the way they do things. And they have to keep the lights on because that way people know, don't interfere over here. Don't like go driving willy-nilly. We have someone of importance here who's trying to get help. Now, I was the first one at that scene. I saw everything pretty much go down, but as soon as I saw that, I was kind of just kicking into high gear. I dropped everything that I was doing because I was actually going to do something else before I saw that. So I ran in, I grabbed my manager, I told them what the hell was going on. The person was calling the ambulance and stuff. We pretty much just put everything aside just so we can give that person the most attention that they need, just so that way everything goes right, nothing bad happens or anything. And a little after that, when the paramedics came in, we, you know, did things as usual again, back to normalcy, and we just gave everyone that space so that way they can do their thing. And from my experience, I know paramedics and stuff tend to be there for a little while. They kind of try and get a quick diagnosis of things. They ask the person questions depending on how things are, how severe things can be. It can take as little from maybe like a few minutes to somewhat longer. That's usually the kind of things I see. So yeah, the paramedics and them were there for a decent amount of time. I would say probably around 20 minutes at most. But that's just because they wanted to be sure of everything to make sure that the person was all right in the end. They didn't want to take any chances there, so we had to take the time to make sure that that person was all right. But it's still pretty awful to think that someone would have the attitude that they did not want the paramedics there anymore because it was ruining their meal. They would rather that person pretty much bite it at that point. At least that's what I'm gathering, rather than, you know, them get the help that they need. I'm actually genuinely curious to see the kind of mindset that those people have on a day-to-day basis. I wonder if they're just completely like that every single day of the week or just that time of day. To even complain to people saying that the paramedics and stuff was distracting to them, it's a really horrible and scummy thing to do. And yeah, the lights are distracting. It's a big part of the job. They have to get those lights on so that way they know people, you know, should steer clear of them so that way they can make way for actual emergency cases and try to help people. That's just the way they do things. They're not going to drop everything and move base just so you can enjoy your meal or anything, or because you asked them to. That's not how it works. The world does not revolve around the people complaining. It's just so sad to see that people still think that way. Heaven forbid one of the people that were complaining ends up, you know, on the floor dying, and we just say, oh, they didn't like the paramedics here, so let's just not help them. That's the kind of thing you're setting yourself up for. Just like let the paramedics do their job, pray for that person's safety, and just go on with your day. You don't have to make a big stink about it because you're unhappy with some lights flashing here and there. I don't know. I just wanted to rant about this. It was a pretty big thing yesterday, and I just really wanted to go into it a bit deeper and give my own 2 cents on it. Because I really hate when people complain, putting themselves above others, even in emergency situations like this. So yeah, let me know what y'all think. Other than that, thanks for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed. I'll talk to you later.